show. Going to be playing against David Barber Callahan playing Bug Delver. So if we're able to cut over to that one, we certainly will. But right now we have our full attention on two players that have been having a lot of success in Legacy recently. Here in Ben Lundquist playing Merfolk and Jeff Hoogland playing 4-color Loam. Here is a Mox Diamond. That's a Badlands. Are we going to see a Chalice on turn 1? Oh, no, just a pop.
Dark Confidant. Good opening on turn 1. And Ben plucks a Dismember.
What do they say normally, the kids?
Had it.
Had it?
Had it.
Had it, okay. So there goes the Dark Confidant. Jeff draws, Chalice of the Void.
Looks like, what's his hand? Abrupt Decay.
He has a Chalice there. I don't think he has another land.
Yeah, he was all in on that Confidant.
He really was, jeez.
And now Ben Lundquist also has Wasteland in hand. Ben contemplating, I believe, just dazing this, wastelanding the Badlands, and really setting Jeff behind. You can also just fire off a Silvergill Adept or even Standstill, as he can play Standstill on an empty board. He's going to leave with a Silvergill Adept, revealing Marrow Regery. Draws another Regery. And Jeff's hand is in trouble here. He was really banking on that Confidant.
Yeah, and it's easy. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. I mean, it forces Ben to have Forceful on a blue card, or when it's 2 Dismembers.
Yeah, no, I think that's a legitimate keep by Jeff, but...
Ben is going to draw an island here for the turn. You see a bunch of Lords in his hand, as Merfolk is taking to do.
Yeah.
2 Marrow Regeries. You see the Wasteland we had pulled forward, Curse Catcher, Standstill. How does he want to navigate these turns? That's the big question.
Well, I think the big thing that he really wants to do here is get ahead enough on the board where he can land Standstill. Because again, from this position, as long as he can keep his head above water regarding Punishing Fire, Wasteland cuts off Devastating Dreams, which is Jeff's biggest way to get out from under Ben's more powerful setups.
Yep. The Curse Catcher is off right now because of the Chalice, but everything else is on for Ben. So let's just see if he wants to tap out, go for Regery, or perhaps consider the options here with just playing a Standstill in a Wasteland.
Yeah, his other option is just to Wasteland the Dryad Arbor and land Standstill. Okay, he's going to Abrupt Decay. The Lord, I'm not sure if he's blocking with the Arbor. No, he's just going to take the hit.
Okay. He's going to take 2, pass the turn back. Can't quite make out
A
the
Knight of the Reliquary. Okay. This is, I believe, going to be good enough for Ben to daze.
He says, I do not think so. So daze takes care of that Knight. Ben draws a card.
Oh, Mutavault is an excellent draw here because now he can definitely, if he wants to, he can Wasteland the Arbor and stick Standstill and be really far ahead.
Be completely content with that line of play.
He can also add another Regery. Those are his 2 lines. I think given that he is somewhat exposed to Devastating Dreams, I would be more inclined to just try to choke Jeff on mana and play the Mutavault here. But
yeah, when you see the 4-color Loam deck not hitting land drops, of course this deck does have a lot of lands in it. I think it's around 30. So Wastelanding it's a little bit scary.
I mean, now that he has Wasteland, if he wants to land Standstill, there's actually an argument for cutting off the Badlands, because if Jeff wants to trade the Arbor for a Silvergill, Ben's thrilled with that exchange. Yeah.
All right, so here's Mutavault. Okay, so he's going to go with Regery and try to set it up next turn with the Standstill. So in with a 3-2 we go. Jeff takes 3. He's going to go down to 15.
And I think that's a totally reasonable line of play from Ben, because Jeff's obviously representing that he's having a ton of difficulties with his draw, and so he can afford to have a better setup when he goes for it.
Dark Confidant to draw for Jeff. Ben going to untap. He's going to take a draw step. It is a Lord of Atlantis, and so now we're going to be able to see a little bit of shenanigans and tomfoolery here with the Marrow Regery being able to untap some things. He can unload quite a few cards this turn.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he can just go Lord of Atlantis, tap your Dryad Arbor, turn on my Mutavault, hit for a ton.
Also, another line of plays: play an island, play a Marrow Regery, untap one of the islands, so he'll have 2 islands untapped. Play Lord of Atlantis, untap both islands.
Wow.
Yeah. He can really load up here.
And Ben, as has been the habit this weekend, appears to be pursuing a line of play completely different from what we had in mind. Yeah, we're just going to Just doing this.
Yeah. So in here with the Silvergill Adept with the Mutavault and the Marrow Reejerey. Pressure on here. I think it feels like a standstill, right?
Yeah, I think he's signaling standstill here, which makes a lot of sense. Jeff's unlikely to block here, and then standstill is both ancestral recall and makes the bob a lot worse. Like he's kind of choked now.
Forces his hand. There's a Savannah into it's either a Badlands or a Taiga. Either way, it's a land. Oh, man, I'm off. It's late. All right, it's Plateau. So 4 mana. Here's a Green Sun Zenith, so Standstill is going to get broken. 3 signifies Night.
Yep.
Ben draws Curse Catcher, Master of the Pearl Trident, and Aether Vial, so...
Most importantly, another Lord.
Yeah. There's your Knight of the Reliquary. Let's just pass the turn back here, so...
And that Knight is just a 3/3?
That Knight looks like it is just a 3/3. That's oddly enough. Ben's going to play an island. Looks like he may smell a little water in the blood here.
Yeah.
Excuse me, a little blood in the water.
He's going to be able to tap things with his Reejerey.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just clear out all the blockers and win this turn would be my guess.
Plays Master of the Pearl Trident, untaps his own island. Going to play a Curse Catcher into this Chalice of the Void. It does get countered.
Yeah, Chalice counters, but it still triggers the Reejerey.
Yep. Reejerey says when you cast, does not have to come into play. So he taps the Dark Confidant, taps that, activates the Mutavault, comes on and across. You might not have any islands to swim on, but no matter. Fish out of water is going to put Ben Lundquist up a game here over Jeff.
As you can see, Ben looks like a person who's played Merfolk enough to know the interaction between Marrow Reejerey and Chalice of the Void.
Yes. Yes, sir, Bob.
There is no hesitation there.
Yeah. So, well played game there by Ben. Jeff stumbles around a little bit here. But Merfolk going to be up a game. We're going to cut back to the booth because we have a premium question to ask to you. 6 months this go around. We're just simply ask you guys a question. Hashtag the answer with SCG Premium, and we will get the winner 6 months, and we will give the answer to this question after this round is over. Me or you? You want to ask you or me? I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, I'll read this
All
one.
right.
Again, like all of our trivia questions have been this weekend. All of them are tied to Grand Prix Miami, which Star City will be running. You can find the information. The video got released this weekend. And our question for 6 months of premium is, which premium writer will be making his token debut as a 2/2 knight? Which premium writer will be making his token debut as a 2/2 knight? That was for 6 months of premium. That is a reasonably challenging question.
Has Vigilance, too. So he gets in and blocks.
Yeah,
It's
a 2/2 knight token.
There's nothing that he can't do.
Anyhow.
Nothing can't do.
Anyhow.
Vigilance, people.
Vigilance, people. Sideboards. I'm going to give you Jeff's deck.
Appreciate it. We're going to go over this one first because he has down a game. As we went over the Burning Wish targets here, One Life in the Loam, Devastating Dreams, Chainer's Edict, Dreadbore, Maelstrom Pulse, Perish, Revenant Silence, Thoughtseize, Shattering Spree. Those are cards that are not going to come in for the most part. I can't imagine him sideboarding those in. Sometimes you do see Wish decks sideboarding the one-ofs because they don't have the time to wish for them, but I don't think that that's the case here. Then the other ones are Bojuka Bog, and Abrupt Decay, Gaddock Teague, and 3 Thalia Guardian of Thraben. The thing that stands out here, Patrick, outside of that Abrupt Decay, nothing really coming in for Merfolk.
Yeah, just not really much going on there.
You know, you would think that Thalia can kind of hold down the 4s with 2 on first striker, but Merfolk make their guys into 3/3s and 4/4s, both quickly and easily.
Yep.
So I think it's just going to be an Abrupt Decay here for Jeff that comes in, and you know, maybe he sideboards out one of those Chalice of the Voids. Alternatively, he can maybe sideboard in some of those Burning Wish targets because the Chalice of the Voids are so mediocre in the matchup.
Yep. Ben, on the other hand, definitely some action for the matchup. He has 3 copies of Relic of Progenitus, capable of breaking up both Life from the Loam and Punishing Fire. He has an additional copy of Dismember he can move in. He has a Hydroblast, very good against Jeff's red spells. I do not think that he wants to merge here, even though Jeff is a green deck with some creatures. Not only is Jeff's more powerful angles about grinding the game down with removal, not so much playing creatures to the board. The way that Jeff's mana is structured, he can often be casting green creatures off of things like Mox Diamond and not actually need a forest to play. Yeah. So I think it would be a mistake to move to Submerge, but certainly that's an option. And 1 copy of Kira Great Glass Spinner does some amount of work against his targeted removal, Punishing Fire, Abrupt Decay, and so forth. So I'd expect to see the Kira, the Hydroblast, the additional Dismember, and the 3 copies of Relic of Progenitus come in.
I think, you know, Kira, a great trump to the Punishing Fires that do exist. Oddly enough, Kira, it's strange that it's not good against Abrupt Decay, but it isn't because of the uncounterability on Abrupt Decay. So it counters the spell that's targeting it, but that doesn't actually work.
Yep.
So it actually pushes it through. So it's a weird interaction. Some players know it, some players don't. We'll see if Jeff does or if he doesn't in this situation. But there's only one Kira in Ben's deck anyway, so we'll see if it actually does come up. As we do have a quick update here, Sneak and Show, Adam Jansen, he is up a game over the Bug Delver deck where I thought, all right. I thought, David, that's only one game.
It's one game. Yeah. And like we said, we thought the game one might be worse there because there's no Thoughtseize. It's just, he doesn't have the maximum amount of combo disruption that he could have in the first game. Yeah. So it's not totally surprising that he lost the first game.
Plenty of cards to sideboard in, and as we do have the opportunity to cover that match, we will do that. But again, we're going to stick here with Lundquist versus Hoogland as Jeff bored with Ben shuffling. Yeah. He's ready to go.
I would describe it an ennui, not so much a boredom.
Okay.
Yeah.
He wants to get back in the fire.
Intellectual fatigue. The scarf. The scarf is what tips you off. That's what's going on.
The words you just used are just way too big for me to understand.
Ennui is 5 letters, I believe.
How do you spell that?
E-N-N-U-I.
E-N-N-U-I.
I believe.
What does that mean?
Intellectual fatigue. Boredom.
Missed that the first time.
Yeah, never mind.
Appreciate you.
It's fine.
Appreciate you.
I don't want to go back and just describe everything that happened.
We could. E-N-N-U-I?
Yeah.
Never seen that word.
That can't be true.
I read a lot.
What do you read?
Grantland.
I've never seen that word in Sports Illustrated, so it might as well not exist to me.
Never seen that once. Between sports articles and Magic articles.
Yeah, does LeBron have ennui? Otherwise, I've never heard of it.
All right, so Jeff, he's going to keep Forrest go. We have Webster's tweeting at us right now. A feeling of weariness and dissatisfaction. Semicolon, boredom.
Yep.
Learn something new every day.
Some days.
Every day. As we do see an Aether Vial here from Ben. Cycle Tranquil Thicket into Life in the Loam. A baby Life in the Loam, but you got to get the party started somehow. So
he's going to get the ball rolling.
Coming back, yeah. Let's see if Ben has a relic here. Got Lord of Atlantis.
No, he's got a lot of
blue cards.
It's a. He has Vial in the standstill. Not a bad opening.
The proverbial nuts. Yeah, from Lundquist came 2 on the draw.
Nothing, and then a bunch of fish, Force of Will, and Hydroblast in hand. So,
Jeff does have an Abrupt Decay, but Abrupt Decay will trigger that standstill, as he's going to dredge Life in the Loam. Here's a Wasteland. There's a Mox Diamond, and that is a Taiga. For the record, I knew what ennui meant.
It's too late to run that line.
I knew. There's a Dryad Arbor. Pass the turn back, so he's gonna let him do his thing here.
File ticks up.
There's an island. Ben's got him in the old Merfolk soft lock.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Jeff really wants to do here is kind of build up his resources, so then when he does eventually break the standstill, he's able to kind of respond as efficiently and quickly as possible to whatever Ben unloads the subsequent turn. Unlike the first game where he was kind of compelled to break the standstill ASAP, he has a little bit more time here.
So here's a Sylvan Library. 3 cards coming. 2 and Mutavault, Island, Submerge. So it did.
Okay, so Submerge did come in.
Makes you wonder how many copies. I think that's a big question.
Well, he may not want Dazes or Pierces on the draw.
Yeah.
Those might just be easy cuts.
Daze seems like a real stinker.
Yeah.
This all land Mox Diamond deck. What are you going to get to Daze there? Especially on the draw? Not much.
I mean, he can actually submerge the Dryad Arbor and then start trucking in.
Oof.
He was feeling frisky.
Life in the Loam.
Okay.
This will be a draw 3. One of my favorite engines in Magic history. Life in the Loam and Cycling Lance.
It's possible Jeff has to discard here. No, I guess he's at full hand.
So there's your Lord of Atlantis. That gets filed in. Ben going to take a look at his hand. Going to leave that vial too, so he's going to draw another Aether Vial here. There's a Mutavault. See, Master of the Pearl Trident. Does he want to pull the trigger on that now? Looks like he wants to, and he wants to hard cast it. Wow, okay. So in for 3. There is a method to his madness. Here's a vial. And pass the turn back. Makes me think that there's a Silver Gill there then. That's got to be the other card, right? Maybe potentially a Phantasmal Image. You're going to see a Dredge here, a Burning Wish, Tranquil Thicket, and a Wasteland.
Well, I had to assume it was Phantasmal Image. We would have just done it.
Yeah.
It could be that he's possibly trying to bluff Jeff into not casting a Devastating Dreams, but Benny has multiple Forcibles in his hand, so you would have to imagine he'd be happy with that card getting cast.
We'll see.
Benny's just up to some shenanigans, I think.
He's a trickster.
Just trying to throw off some weird signals to Jeff, I think is what's going on. It cost him nothing. It's not like he has anything to do with the mana, and it could contort Jeff's play. Benny beatdowns is pretty tricky, as we've seen with his time on camera.
So let's see what Jeff can do this turn to get back into this game, as he is a little bit behind right now. See him reaching for the old Wasteland, take care of the Mutavault.
He has Knight of the Reliquary, but it doesn't appear that he has white mana.
Yeah, not yet. Strange for a deck that's lonely like crazy enough to be able to put something in play. Also a Sylvan Library in play too. As Ben does draw a card here. Vials on 2 and 1.
I think we're going to see Abrupt Decay here on one of the Lords.
Yeah. There is your Abrupt Decay. No countering that. Pulling a Submerge forward. Alright, Master goes down.
Yeah, and this is the type of pacing of the game that Jeff really prefers. Sort of slowly whittling down Ben's troops.
Now he's going to Sylvan Library this time.
And this is with Ben even starting on turn 1. Vial, turn 2.
Standstill.
Yeah, he's even...
So here is that Knight of the Reliquary, it looks like. Yep. See if he wants to force that or just submerge.
Might as well submerge the first time.
And so there's a Chalice for 1.
That's fine.
Yeah, you see the Hydroblast there. It's getting a little worse. Question's how much worse now. I mean, how does he care? I mean, that's something for him to remove the Forcible now, so
yeah.
Not the end of the world. Ben gonna draw a card, get some information. Now that is the big card that's countered now.
Nice draw for Relic for Benny, but a turn late.
Yep. So Relic of Progenitus is the card. Submerge is gonna put that back up on top. And let's see. Take a look at that. Comes across for 2, does Lundquist. So Hoogland going to move down to 13. Hoogland going to untap here. Slowly turning the tide here. I think, as you said, this is the kind of pace that he does want to be playing. As Jeff is going to take a look at the cards here with Sylvan Library yet again.
I mean, as long as he's playing 1 spell a turn for the time being, Ben can actually just kind of keep his head above water. He can actually hard cast Forcible even at this point on the night. But he really needs another Lord. I mean, that's the missing piece of the puzzle here. Something to keep the clock up, because he's not going to win this game just by hitting Jeff for 7 turns in a row. Yeah. That's not happening.
So Jeff considering his options. He's going to tap a little bit differently here for this Knight of the Reliquary. Let's see if this resolves this time. This Ben does have those Forcibles in his hand. And he's just going to hard cast Forcible. Okay. I'm wondering if that's okay. Jeff says, sure it is. 2 mana here. Life in the Loam. Ben okay with that. So a couple lands come back to Jeff's hand. Passes the turn back. So Ben's going to untap. He's going to draw. Let's see what he finds. Marrow Reejery.
Good draw. Good draw for Ben.
That'll add to the clock in a big way. Across for 3 comes the Lord of Atlantis. No islands to swim on, but no problem. Cycle Forgotten Cave here for Jeff. Jeff gonna untap. Draw engine's online now. in more than one way, because he can dredge or he can Sylvan Library. He's going to choose a library here again.
Yep. And if Ben gets out of this, it's going to be just barely.
Yep.
You can feel we're sort of at the equilibrium moment where Ben needs a big draw next turn.
Yeah, you feel like he's barely holding on here. He's got that Forcible to counter the last relevant spell here from Jeff, but once that happens, Jeff is going to be able to push him over with multiple things. He just needs to keep grinding through it there with the Sylvan Library, with the dredging and casting of Life from the Loam. He's even got a chump blocker if necessary with Dryad Arbor. You see he's going to consult his sideboard here if he wants to take a Burning Wish, which is one of the things you can do now with the rules. I think that's been in place for about 2 years now.
And Chalice of the Void, we were talking, not great against Benny in the game in the game ones, but the way that he sideboards definitely gets better post board. Relic and Hydroblast, both caught in the crosshairs.
And it looks like Jeff knows that. I mean, you see the foresight to leave that in, when I think most players would probably sideboard it out. I'm certainly advocating it, and it makes sense to leave it in now, because if Ben did have that Relic Progenitus, this game would be wildly different.
Yeah.
So Jeff does take a card here. You see a Devastating Dreams in his hand. Again, you see it's difficult to cast it against him. He wants to, but if he does, he leaves behind Aether Vials, opens himself up against Force of Will. Cycle Tranquil Thicket to start his turn. Gonna dredge Life from the Loam. Zenith, Bob, Abrupt Decay. Life from the Loam. See what it'll target. Tranquil Thicket ×2.
He's really digging.
And a Wasteland. Been a while since we've seen a deck like this and this engine in action. This was an engine that did dominate Old Extended for a long time. The Confinement Assault Loam decks from the years past.
We're about to see the big Devastating Dreams here.
And a card they had access to their deck then, they have access to now in Devastating Dreams. We'll see what X is going to be. So it looks like X is going to be 4.
He gets the other Burning Wish, or Burning Wish rather, because I'm sure it's going to be forced.
Ben gets all the information. He does get to Force of Will, the Devastating Dreams, because as an additional cost, you do have to discard X cards at random before it does resolve. Ben does Force of Will, removing that blue Elemental Blast. Or excuse me, the Hydro Blast.
That leaves Jeff with just a Cycling Land, a Wasteland, and of course the Loam in the graveyard to try again next turn to find some removal spells. But Ben's got him on close to the ropes. Mutavault is the draw.
Not the best draw here. Wastelands everywhere here for Jeff. Both zones, both the graveyard and in play. And actually in hand as well. So Merrill Reacher is going to jump in front here. Or excuse me, Dryad Arbor is going to jump in front of the Lord of Atlantis. Merrill Reacher is actually going to come through. You'll see him cycle a Tranquil Thicket. Will Hoogland. That thing's going to bite the dust.
Now he's in a position, Jeff's in a position now where he can give himself a little bit of breathing space by dredging Arbor and 2 Cycling Lands, using the Arbor to chump and cycling through the lands to try to find an answer.
So now Sylvan Library is what he's going to take a look at. Yeah, the Life in the Loam can actually buy him some time there with Arbor just chump blocking a bunch, as you said. You see him counting his mana, seeing how much he can do in one turn. So what to do? He has his Loam Engine online, he has a Sylvan Library, he has a Chalice locking out Relic Progenitus. Ben is, for lack of a better term, all in here. Mutavault in play, Lord of Atlantis in play, Merrill Regery in play. This is a lethal attack that Jeff is basically facing next turn. We're very close to it. I mean, it looks like it's going to be 6, so if Ben does peel Lord, can make it lethal, which he does have plenty of in his deck. But Jeff needs to get himself out of this situation, but how can he do it?
He has Loam, he has Cycling Lands.
See a lot of cards. 3 mana, Knight of the Reliquary. Last 2 cards in Jeff's hand are Wasteland and Life in the Loam.
So, I believe any Lord that Ben draws will kill Jeff because he can tap and attack for lethal.
Well, he is getting a Dryad Arbor back here and does have Wasteland available, so...
Oh, he has not made his land drop this turn?
No.
Okay. So Arbor to block.
So Ben is going to untap. He's going to draw. It's a standstill. See how this affects the game. I don't think it affects the game for Ben in a positive way.
I don't
at
think
all.
Ben can cast this.
No. So let's see here. It allows Jeff to have a big Knight of the Reliquary in play. It allows him to look at his cards with Sylvan Library. And he's going to cast it. Let's see how this. Let's see the ramifications of this.
I guess he has no choice but to cast it, right? Like, he can't win the game just saying go.
I guess he punishes Jeff for casting a Lifeline on the next turn. Is one way to look at it. I mean, if you want to cast Lifeline, you get 3 cards. You know the Reliquary gets to play defense. My draws are pretty live because I don't have to cast spells. I suppose that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, although now, we get to enter this new phase where Jeff starts getting access to some of his utility lands, most importantly Mazavith, which is another...
There's Wasteland. Seen a bunch of those. Passes back. Ben's gonna untap. Kind of funny. This is a situation where it's like Ben had to cast a standstill, and in most cases Jeff would not be happy about that. And I don't think Jeff hates it, but he doesn't love it either.
Right. I mean, there's the risk of Ben being able to build up enough of a hand through his vials where Jeff kind of just gets killed out of nowhere, but that requires a lot more draws and basically also requires Ben moving his vial on 1 up into a vial on 2.
So here's Mazavith. Knight is growing into absolutely ridiculously large status here. So now he can actually do the interaction that we haven't seen for a long time. Interaction that became very popular with Maverick, as he's going to resolve the Sylvan Library, which is attack with the Knight of the Reliquary, get the damage in, and then inside combat after damage is dealt and tap it with Mazavith. It's a very unique way to go about giving Knight of the Reliquary vigilance.
Involves interacting with a step that you probably do not have set on Moto.
Yeah. So we'll see if Ben knows about this. As you see, Lundquist does roll up his sleeves, ready to get his hands dirty, getting that little tussle with that Knight of the Reliquary.
Well, I don't think he's chump blocking this turn, so I think you just gotta let this go.
Yeah. So cycle a Tranquil Thicket.
Contemplating dredging a loam.
Yeah. Make that Knight bigger. Forgotten Cave, Dark Confidant, Tranquil Thicket, so +2. Plus the Tranquil Thicket he cycled, so Knight of the Reliquary can be +3. We'll get a count for you guys on how big that is in just a second from our spotter. It's a whole bunch of damage, that's for sure. And then, yep, inside combat. At the end of combat, excuse me, after damage is dealt, you may Mazavith that. So it's +9, so an 11-11. It's okay, so it's a 9-9 flat. So 7 lands in the graveyard.
I get the feeling that just kind of just put the clamps in. He's even sitting on an Abrupt Decay 2 in case.
Just in case anything goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
So Ben's going to move this up to 3. That signifies a Marrow Regery. Now he's deciding if he wants to leave that at 1 or 2. Draw a card. Lord of Atlantis. Would he have been better off putting that on 2? Because now...
Well, he has
to cast his own standstill. He has to break his own standstill. Like casting a Marrow Regery. Yep. And so that tap is going to go on the stack. Tap Knight. Me oh my. So tap is on the stack. Standstill break is on the stack.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous for him to use Knight of the Reliquary here, obviously, because then that's a blocker that's tapped down. So
So he's going to use Knight. So he's going to get Nantuko Monastery.
Replaces one blocker with another. Not since the days of Mirari Wake and Standard have I seen this one. It's been a bit.
Oh, it's coming up. Don't you worry. Doesn't do much unless it has Threshold, but he has plenty of cards in his graveyard, and when you do, it becomes a 4/4 green and white creature with first strike until end of turn, for the low cost of a green and white activation.
So we're going to tap both the Nantuko Monastery and the Dryad Arbor. I think the one Abrupt Decay in Jeff's hand is probably going to finish this off.
Yeah, looks like it does ruin everything here. So there is your Dryad Arbor. There's your Monastery. Those get tapped. Ben going to try to attack for lethal here. That Regery, that new one, is summoning sick. Here is Abrupt Decay. I'm surprised he cast it here like that. I think maybe. Oh, I guess no. It doesn't matter. I take it back. Doesn't change anything. Yeah, maybe by casting it before Ben does attack, it makes it so the Lord of Atlantis doesn't come in. So maybe you want him to declare attacks with both guys first.
Sure, it's like
a minor thing. We're gonna see Jeff. I think that's a Devastating Dreams.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. That's a good Magic card.
Not if you're Ben Lundquist.
Yeah, that's true. Gaddock Teague.
I guess he's doing this just in case there's some weird counterspell he's not thinking of. I guess he's playing around Thwart.
His X is a necklace. I think maybe Ben has 2 cards in his hand. He's scared of Force of Will. That could be what it is here.
I thought he was just down to 1, but yeah.
Now he's going to do Devastating Dreams for 4. Yeah, he only has 1 card in his hand, so doesn't have to worry about Force of Will. And Ben is going to pack it in. Yeah. So Jeff is going to win game number 2 of this marathon affair. Full Color Alone versus Merfolk. We're going to a game 3.
And you know that pacing was so much better for Jeff that game.
Yeah, by a lot. And that Chalice of the Void, which we didn't think was going to be that big of a deal.
Certainly, in the way the post-board games are, Relic is a huge weapon for Ben to cut off a lot of the powerful engine stuff that Jeff does, and locking that out, it's a big deal.
Yeah, much better than we gave it any credit for.
We're going to have to be a little bit more cautious with our volume levels, even as the tournament hall has mostly cleared out.
Magic After Dark, ever heard of it? Dim the lights, turn on the NBC, get a glass of wine, Chardonnay. I'm a Riesling kind of guy. What kind of wine you like?
Not really that much into wine.
Yeah, big shockaroo there. Can't believe
it. I don't know what that
it.
means. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Is that supposed to be a beat?
No. I asked knowing that you probably weren't into wine. I was hoping to be surprised.
No. I like red and ones that come in large bottles. That's my palate.
A nice bourbon for you, perhaps?
Yes.
You seem like the bourbon-y type.
I am.
You're like an open book, Pat. Red decks, bourbon, cigars, bad basketball teams. It's easy.
I just actually can't believe I'm taking anything sports related from a Cleveland sports fan. A Cleveland citizen to begin with. I'm sorry, we got to be honest here. One of the more godforsaken corners of the United States of America. Actual lake on fire because of pollution.
Sounds like somebody's a bit jealous.
No. I don't know where you're getting that vibe from.
Well, how many places can you go where there's a lake on fire? Exactly.
That's not like a tourist. That's not like a tourist attraction.
You'd be surprised how many people come to the lake. You would be surprised.
Cleveland pride, ladies and gentlemen. You would be surprised how many people will come to the lake.
Yep.
I'd put that on the T-shirt.
That's right.
Could sell it outside whatever random structure fire is happening.
All right, I give.
All right.
You win.
Taps the mat.
Yep, you win.
Ben Lundquist perhaps de-emphasizing his one drops a little bit here. Although on the play, he's a little more protected against Chalice of the Void than he was while he was on the draw.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine to leave in like your curse catchers, your vials, your relics. I mean, curse catcher's probably gone.
Well, he had vials set on one for the entire game.
Yeah, I know that was kind of weird to me, right? Where that turn where he was deciding if he wanted to push up to 3 and 2, he left it at 3 and 1.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. It means that there's probably some number of those left in his deck.
Well, in the spot that he's in right there, it could also just be a bluff, right? Like, he's committed to just casting whatever Merfolk he can that turn because he needs to trigger his rejuries.
Yeah.
So there's some chance where that's just some very, very subtle bluff. It's possible if there's anything that's happening on the play draw for Ben, it's probably whether or not he has Daze in the deck.
Sure.
Daze seems potentially much better while he's on the play, and on the draw, just any opening that Jeff has involving either Mox Diamond or Life of the Loam is unlike Daze is just gonna stink.
Yeah.
But in game 1, actually, Daze was quite good for Ben.
Yeah. The shelf life on Daze is very low.
Yep.
You know, it's good for like turns 1, 2, and 3. I guess maybe if Jeff fumbles around like he did in game 1, it's gonna be good. But overall, not so much. All right, so we're gonna move to a third game here. Ben Lundquist, Jeff Hoogland, Merfolk, 4-color Loam.
Yeah.
Pretty back and forth, actually. Pretty entertaining match to watch. Jeff wants to go long. Ben wants to go short. And with Ben on the play for game 3 because he did break serve, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, and both the two games that you saw, I think both decks kind of functioned, characteristically the way the pilots would want them to in the matchup, So, and Ben's opening, actually, that game was Vile and a Standstill. I mean, you can't ask for really much more than that.
Yeah, not at all.
A bunch of Force of Wills, a Hydroblast. I mean, you had a good hand containing multiple sideboard cards. And, the game was close for a little while, but you got the feeling the whole time that Jeff was slowly just leveraging his resources advantage in every axis of the game.
When you get to loam that often, cycle through that many cards, it's very beneficial for you. It's almost like if you do that the entire time and then you end up losing, it's like, all right, what did I do wrong? Had to do something wrong, so. All right, Mr. Lundquist, take a look at 7. As we do have a quick update for you. The winner of this match is playing against Adam Jansen, folks. He does win 2-0 against David Barber Callahan with Sneak and Show. So Sneak and Show, who's it going to play in the finals? If you're Ben, you probably want to play against it. If you're Jeff, you probably don't.
Yes. So, both players eventually.
Looks like Ben's happy. All right, Vile, you see a standstill too, boy.
Force of Will and Future.
He's got a nice hand there. Does Lundquist? He has a Wasteland, a Standstill, a Force of Will, a Silver Gill Adept, and a Master, I believe it is. Yeah, Master of the Pearl Trident. Jeff here with a Wooded Foothills, and is he just gonna pass back?
He has Punishing Fire in hand, it appears. I don't know if he has anything really else to do.
There's a Dark Confidant over there as well. Forgotten Cave.
Does he have a Mox?
Yeah, that's a big question.
Yep.
It does not. So Vile's going to go up to 1. Ben draws a Curse Catcher. There's a Wasteland.
And Standstill.
So
very powerful opening.
He had this start last game, but he was on the draw. This game he's on the play. He actually has a 1-drop into a 2-drop to put into play. So this, you couldn't draw it up any better outside of maybe a Relic of Progenitus.
So if you're in Cleveland, can you block a Lord of Atlantis because it's not able to swim in the water? Is that rules text? Is that errata?
I'll have to call Flavor Judge.
This is not safe.
Find out.
It's not safe for it to swim.
You know what our favorite card in Cleveland is?
What?
Boil.
Buy you in a turn, I assume it means we're cycling a fetch land here.
Also a big fan of Smokestack.
That's a Jersey special too. Mox Diamond off the tie for Jeff, which is very good here. It's important for him to accelerate his mana even at the expense of some card advantage.
So there's a Mox Diamond. That's a way to break a standstill, I guess.
We are who we are.
Yeah, I mean, you can't let it sit there, so you might as well. If you're going to break it in style.
Yep.
That's going to resolve here. Yeah, what's your file playing around days here? Dark Confidant. You're probably okay with that if you're Lundquist, right?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
It's like annoying, but
I think that you need to. I think there's more important stuff that you need to catch your force of will. Or you need to keep your force of will for.
yeah.
I think that if you're able to pressure Jeff sufficiently, you can turn the Confidant into a bit of a liability, and neither Reliquary, Devastating Dreams, much more threatening cards.
Yeah.
And as has been the
Yep.
style du jour,
Yeah,
Ben Lundquist takes the exact opposite line.
This is a recurring theme. I don't know if you were out in the field last week, and Osip and I were commentating, and we this happened a lot.
Your batting average was not good yet.
No, maybe perhaps in the negatives.
We were just not doing that well here.
Certainly below the Mendoza line at the very least. So Vile's going to move up to 2.
And Ben right now debating between Silvergill Adept and Master of the Pearl Trident.
Which fishy to play? Silvergill lets him get a little more information on how he wants to go about his turns. You also see he's probably considering wastelanding too, which is kind of tough, of course, against a deck that does have as many lands as Jeff's does, but he's going to wasteland here, set him back a little bit. Hope maybe he doesn't have any extra ones. Are you going to play an island? There's your master. Here comes your Curse Catcher. In for 2. Cycle here, Forgotten Cave. What's Jeff draw?
There's Caracas.
Yeah. I thought for a moment that was Tabernacle of Tendril Veil, but it is not.
No, I
don't think he has that in his deck list.
Yeah, I think Jeff might be built on a budget here. So he's looking at Nyla Reliquary, Life from the Loam, Punishing Fire.
Passing back. Yeah. In response to the Vile.
Yep.
Yeah. You can see Jeff definitely knows how. Jeff plays a lot of Legacy, you can tell.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, instinct might have been just to jam Nyla Reliquary there, but I think it's worth being safe because if Ben has Submerge for days, it's a huge setback.
Yeah, it's a giant nightmare if you just draw Submerge, just as you said. So Silvergill Adept does come in. But Master of the Pearl Trident dies, so Ben's going to have to come across for a modest 3 here instead of a lot more. He's going to follow that up with another Curse Catcher. Here's an island. He does just pass the turn back, holding on to that Aether Vial and that Submerge. So maybe now it's not the Reliquary time, Patrick.
Oh yeah, I don't think he has the time to be loaming and cycling through his lands at this point. I think he's
Life from the Loam. All right.
All right.
Maybe he just knows he doesn't want to be submerged. Maybe he's trying to think. Maybe he's thinking to himself, "I'm not underneath that much pressure. I'm starting to, 4 isn't that much. I can start to get a work here and maybe hopefully find a Grove of the Burn Willows."
Yeah.
Maybe that's his thought. So there's a Forgotten Cave. Wooded Foothills, Tranquil Thicket, as he does just play the Wooded Foothills and pass the turn back. Activate Vial by Ben.
Has nothing.
Bluffy McBlufferson. Draws Lord of the Atlantis. He has something now.
Big draw.
2, 3, 4. That's a huge draw.
Yes.
Wow. In for 2, 3, 4 here. Jeff gonna sacrifice the Wooded Foothills. Gonna go down to 13. What's he have here? You see him pointing towards the Silvergill Adept. The question is, what is it? Okay, there's a Dryad Arbor. Whoo, boy.
That is the beating.
Lord of Atlantis off the top of the deck. Going to give all of those other Merfolk +1/+1. Curse Catcher becomes 2/2. As does the other one. Silvergill Adept wins the war against the Dryad Arbor.
And that is so sick because end of turn Ben win. Vile already have nothing.
Yep.
So Jeff probably thought the coast was clear to make that block.
Yep.
Now this is happening.
So now that goes away. Huge draw there.
Yeah.
Cycle here from Jeff. Can he get back in this game? Cycle, Forgotten Cave, draw. Looked like can't make it out. It's a Punishing Fire.
Okay. pretty slow here, though.
Jeff draws a card. Gaddock Teague.
Yeah, T covers him against Submerge.
Mm-hmm.
This one is going to be close.
Yes, it is. As we've seen many times with Jeff, just trying to keep his head above water. Can he do it? There's a Wasteland. Taps 2 mana right now.
Yeah, Punishing Fire into Galactic is a pretty nice sequence here.
So here's a big question. He Curse Catch for this? Can he possibly? Maybe Curse Catcher once, make him pay?
You're playing around the 1 Galactic in his deck?
Yeah. I'm not saying it's reasonable. I'm just asking.
No, I don't think you can.
I mean, he does have plenty of redraws. He's got other lords to draw.
Yeah, I mean, his Merfolk are just too valuable, really.
Galactic actually plays like a huge role as like a roadblock right now, while also shutting off Submerge. Man, this game's back and forth. What's Ben draw this turn? Wasteland. What does that do?
Now, Ben can definitely bluff here and just send everything.
Nope.
Because, imagine that Ben's drawn a Lord, you still can trade the same way.
Yep. So that's going to trade there with that. Ben going to play Wasteland or pass?
Well, he's certainly got a Wasteland something. The extra mana doesn't really do him any good.
Well, the thought here, Patrick, might be that I want to save it for a Grove of the Burn Willows. Because that thing, if he draws Grove, it's basically over.
Sure, the draws are fairly slim here. I think that Jeff has enough stuff to do with mana in his deck in general. I mean, he has loam and cycling lands. Yeah. I think you just had to cut him off.
Ugh. Oh. There's the Grove. Here's a Knight. Ben draws. Master.
I mean, he gets to do a ton of damage. He gets a hit for 4 this turn.
Yep. Unbelievable draw there by Hoogland.
I mean, it's a calculated risk by Ben.
Yep. There's a Submerge. Gonna put the Knight up on top. That goes up. Here's one's Lundquist. There's your Master. Here's an attack for 4. Gonna put Jeff down to 5. Alright, so Jeff's move now. He's going to let Ben gain a life, push him up to 20, but more importantly, Punishing Fire coming back to Jeff's hand.
Sorry, he didn't want to cycle his cycle in there.
I think bringing that back is more important. He's actually going to play that land now.
Okay.
He wants to be able to do 2 things in 1 turn.
Yeah, the upside for Ben here is that he's still, not quite able to do 2 a turn.
Mm-hmm. So, Jeff's going to Punishing Fire that right away.
This needs to be. This is
really needs a crucial draw.
Needs to be a Lord.
Lord or Standstill.
Yeah.
Standstill.
Oh my God.
in for 2. Jeff down to 3. Do you play the other vial, or do you keep bluffing it as a card in hand?
I mean, I think at this point there's nothing it could be, right?
Yeah.
What would Jeff believe at this point?
So now here's a Standstill for Lundquist. Back and forth we go. Jeff going to return that Punishing Fire, going to push Ben up to 21, and now, boy, does he need to get his sequencing right now. Is he going to draw a card? That was a Chalice of the Void.
Yeah. Pretty close to a blank here. I mean, it's theoretically productive, but he just doesn't have the time to be putting a Chalice for 1 right now. He's got to be getting Knight back online. He's got to be just jamming his Punishing Fire as much as possible. That's where he's at right now. And that vial is a potentially really...
That's a scary vial on too.
That
is so scary. It makes you wonder if Ben maybe is kicking himself for holding the other vial. It just makes you wonder. That's all. Here's Knight of the Reliquary. 1, 2, and 3.
He got his. He was able to find
Relic of Progenitus.
Yeah, it's important here.
What's more important here is does Jeff leave up Punishing Fire, or does he cast a Chalice on one? Because again, we saw Chalice 1 not be that important. but it could be huge here, as Ben is going to move the vial up to 1. So now he can actually cast the vial, draws a card, Daze.
Daze is also not terrible.
I've seen worse cards than Daze.
And this, for turn 12 days, this one's not bad. I mean, that knight's obviously a huge issue.
So he's going to start with Relic of Forgiveness. He's going to take a look at his graveyard, take a look at Jeff's. What can he do to get by the knight? That is the question. He's going to crack this relic, looking for a 2-mana lord. Will Jeff respond?
Yeah, because now he has Daze to back up, so if the knight gets involved in combat, he can trade off.
Now you see Jeff thinking about the ramifications of this. Because here's the thing, that life on loam's down there that he needs.
Yeah.
So if he does decide to cycle, he can get it back, but that's not going to happen. So that's going to resolve. Then draws a Mutavault. One of the poorer draws available to him right now. So now here's the... Oh boy. Can he possibly attack here?
I think Jeff just has to block, because he's just... If he no blocks and Ben has the Lord he's playing around, he just dies.
Punishing Fire. There goes Curse Catcher.
Maybe worth dazing here. I don't know if he's going to get another shot.
Yeah, might be, yeah.
Yeah.
He is. Gonna make Jeff commit a bunch of mana on his next turn to take care of these guys. So, Punching Fire gets countered. For the meantime, Jeff draws Wasteland to go along with Life in the Loam and Chalice of the Void. But now, Patrick, now the Reliquary is active.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, because the first land that Jeff is likely to get here is Maze of Ith.
Yep.
And that gives him a lot more breathing space to work his Punishing Fire.
Also gives him the ability to actually start attacking, as we saw the Maze of Ith and the interaction last game. So now you can also start clocking Ben. And Jeff does pass the turn back here. It looks like he may be at stabilization.
Well, I mean, he can still... We still have Submerge as a big draw.
Curse Catcher the draw. One of the poorer ones.
So now I think we're gonna see Ben's team start to slowly get picked away here.
That's what the Grove does. And the other thing that Jeff can do here is he's going to play the Curse Catcher. Now the Reliquary has a bevy of options. We talked about Maze of Ith. Another one that he can search for is simply Grove of the Burn Willows.
And start just trying to turn it over.
Yeah, machine gun it up. So he's going to give Ben a life. That's going to come back. Here
Jeff.
comes Punishing Fire there.
Jeff being very methodical about his order of operations right now.
One slight hiccup here can cost him a game. Cost him his chance to go to the finals. Alright, so one Curse Catcher down. Let's see if he's going to activate Knight, and if he is, what he wants to search for. So many options in his deck.
Yeah.
Wasteland takes care of the Mutavault. Knight's going to sacrifice the forest here. What's it going to be? It's a plateau.
Okay. Maybe he's just committed, because that's his only... That forest is his only forest. So he might want to just grow the knight a little bit before
moving in with the maze.
Also,
or
what's
the Grove.
noteworthy here is now Submerge is cut off for Ben. There's no forest in play.
Sure. Jeff draws. Another Wasteland. Not a huge impact there. Life in the Loam. Back a Wasteland in the forest. There's a wasteland.
Let's pass. I really like Jeff's being super
Super
very
cautious.
conservative.
Yep, super cautious. There's an island.
Ben drew Mara Ridgeway this turn. You can tell what he's trying to do now is build up a hand that's able to drop multiple lords through vials and slog through the punching fire. There's no point in him just throwing things into the line of fire right now.
Sacrifice a plateau. See what he searches for. It's a difficult spot. It really is. But he has to get a little bit creative now because the machine gun's online. And he has basically no way to break it up. Searching for maybe Grove this go around, so his Nether Reliquary activations aren't off because he does have Life in the Loam, so they aren't shut off at all. He has the Force in his hand as well, so momentarily delayed. And you can see the pace of play picking up a little bit now for Jeff. He can feel it now.
Yep.
Gonna dredge loam. Yeah, he's really picking up. Dark Confidant ×2 and a Mox Diamond. He needs to be careful. I know that he knows that he's in a favorable spot now. Needs to be careful.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Ben obviously with Vial on 3 and Vial on 2 can threaten at instant speed to get his guy above punishing fire range.
Chalice for 1. Ben looks, says that's fine. Some of his cards are shut off, not a ton, but a couple. Ben draws. Daze. Good on the play, bad on the draw, bad right now.
Yep. Turn 12 is
Punishing fire. Takes care of the Curse Catcher. Bring it back. Ben goes to 26. Knight. Gonna sacrifice Force. Let's see what he searches for. Is it time for Maze of Ith this time?
I mean, I have to assume we're ready to start attacking. You want to shut the door before Ben has the opportunity to assemble enough lords here.
So there's your Maze of Ith. So now the Reliquary, uniquely enough, has Vigilance. Jeff draws Abrupt Decay.
And that's just excellent insurance, too.
That might be the final nail. In with the Knight. Now it's time to get to work on the life total of Lundquist. Maze is gonna tap this after damage before combat's over.
Gonna loan back and play a forest, or his plateau, so he has another land to sacrifice to another reliquary.
Yep.
It's gonna be the plateau again,
Yep.
protecting himself from submerge.
Yep. Smart. Very smart. It's no accident he got here. There's an island, passes the turn back. Does he want to pull the trigger on Abrupt Decay? I don't think there's much of a reason, but...
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that's going on here now that's a bit of relevance is now, with Ben having played his 5th land, Jeff has to be on the lookout for hardcast submerge. So he wants to be a little cautious on how he's using his Nether Reliquary, because in response to him searching, Ben can hardcast submerge and then the Knight gets shuffled back in.
Yep.
So the things are looking very favorable for Jeff, but still you want to be cautious, and that 5th land is meaningful. I assume at this point he has to be fairly confident that there's no submerge hanging out there. Should see Abrupt Decay on the Vial on 3.
What he's doing right now is closing windows. That's what he's doing. Cutting outs, closing windows.
Yeah.
Building a house that Ben is not going to be allowed to get into.
actually 0. For
Doesn't
Jeff.
look like there's any right now, no. just a little baby. Just a little baby knight. See if he cares to
No, he's gonna
Okay,
just
so
wasteland
yeah,
his own land.
build it up myself.
This again gives him a nice lone target in the graveyard too. So.
So it's looking at me attack for 4 there. He's happy to pass the turn back. Ben draws a Lord of Atlantis. What to do? Can he ever assemble?
It's hard now with one of the vials gone. It's really challenging.
Punishing Fire goes upstairs. He needs, as hard as it is to say, he needs Jeff to make such a significant blunder.
Yeah.
And the tough part is for Ben is how can he entice it? What can he do to make it happen? Jeff going to dredge again. Devastating Dreams, Wasteland, Chalice of the Void.
And you can imagine a world where Ben actually is able to cobble together enough resources and Jeff makes a big enough blunder when there's 2 vials in play. But now we're down to 1 vial. It's really hard to imagine.
Untap it with Maze. There's a waste. Here's a loam. See if he wants to get more than just that Tranquil Thicket. Yeah, he will. I think there's some merit to leaving the Wasteland in there just so that Knight stays big. Lundquist draws. Submerge. That's of relevance. Not a ton, but it's of relevance.
Yeah, you can see Jeff is just not willing to use his Knight here because he doesn't want to get shuffled away.
Yeah.
Just extremely disciplined.
Yeah. I think he's just realized that he has the lands that he needs. Yeah. He's going to dredge Life in the Loam here off Tranquil Thicket, Abrupt Decay, Chalice of the Void, not lands. Well, he's going to activate.
Okay.
Cautiously as he does it. Yep.
It's part of the cost,
yeah, so it's part of the yeah, so
he has to pay full retail.
So the thing that part of the cost is to do that, but by submerging, Jeff doesn't have to search. Is the thing.
Sure.
So by not searching, he can just go, that's fine. And he's going to check here because sacking of Forester planes is part of the cost there, so Submerge is actually going to be full price, I think, is what they want to check on. But he also probably wants to check to see, do I have to search or not? And he's just going to go, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I think searching your deck is mandatory. I don't think you can fail to pick up your deck and look once you've announced Night of the Reliquary. Is that, or maybe not, I don't know, actually.
So let's see what we're figuring out here. Because he did pick up his deck.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's looked at the bottom card, so yeah, we'll get something piped in here.
Yeah, I think that you can fail to find, but I don't believe you can fail to search.
Okay.
Is my understanding of the rules.
Okay. So he's going to search for he's going to replace one threat with another.
Yep.
Give me an Antuga Monastery.
Good enough.
Yep. Not punishing fire is also a way for him to clean this up here.
Yep.
Again, still does need to be careful. Draws a Tranquil Thicket. Again, the winner of this Game 3 is going to be playing against Sneak and Show, piloted by Adam Jansen. Don't forget about that. Still do have 12 months of premium to give away as well in this marathon semifinal match between Lundquist and Hoogland. Been a pleasure to watch.
Yep. Some really, really excellent play from both sides. And takes a shot here from the Monastery. Punishing Fire very close to being able to just wrap it up.
all the things that Punishing Fire can do, it can also kill you. As we do have the judge's ruling here, shuffle is part of the ability, not conditional.
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't think you can fail to shuffle your deck on a card that says, then shuffle your library as part of the resolution.
Gotcha.
Even if you fail to find.
3 mana. It's another night here, maybe. Yep. So, not a big deal. Lundquist playing on hoping, begging, praying for an error.
You can hard cast a Force of Will.
Yeah. Pleading, which you have to make an error. You just play a Wooded Foothills and pass the turn back. Activate. There's a knight. Or excuse me, there is a lord.
I would assume this is good enough to Punishing Fire now while the vial is tapped.
Yeah. And this is called going for it. That's what this is. Punishing Fire. Ben, hardcast Force of Will.
Alright, so we still have responses here.
Yep. So Force of Will resolves, pick it up, sacrifice the Wooded Foothills. See if Jeff has a red source. Found one, Taiga. Punishing Fire. Down goes the fish. Ben untaps, pushes a 3, draws a card. 3 signifies Reejerey. Alright.
Stand still.
Stand still. Well, not again. Can I cast this? That's what Lundquist is thinking. Can I do this? He took a shot.
I mean, he gets the chump block, basically.
Yeah. Again, a situation where you got to give your opponent the opportunity to make a mistake.
This would be a tough one to mess up from here.
Yeah. I mean, he's out ahead in basically every direction, but we've seen stranger things happen. Jeff Hoogland gonna draw. Badlands. Two life in the loams.
If I think I'm Jeff, I'm just turning my monastery and getting in.
Looks like a lethal attack, yeah?
Yep.
Make him have it, whatever it is.
Well, whatever it is a chump block or something that breaks his own standstill.
Yep. I'm with you there. A little defensive.
I guess this is still lethal the same way.
This is lethal in the way that he can wasteland a bunch of his own stuff to pump that, and wants to see if Ben sees it. Wasteland my own land. Wasteland my own land.
There it is.
That is it. Jeff Hoogland, 4-color loam, moving on to the finals, defeats Ben Lundquist 2-1.
Yeah, impressive performance. Ben, that matchup seemed pretty rough on paper. He won game 1 comfortably. Was in a hair's breadth of pulling out that game 3, but eventually Jeff was able to get the clamps in and there's no getting out.
You can expect to see that on Best of SCG Live. That's one of the best matches I've